I'd like to call the September 3rd, 2025 meeting to order. And our second item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the August 6th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Have approval of the per diem expenses for September 3rd, 2025 meeting. Can I get a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Comment. Come on, bro. So much.
Gotta get a second on that. I don't know if you know when 40 got started, but I know when I started state government, it was $40.
Oh.
And that was 40 years ago.
Oh,
David, you don't have to find another job. All right. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to reports. OPT FM emergency purchases.
I've just got one question. I'm seeing back on emergency purchasing vehicles, and then we got down to, if we go down to staff approvals, there seems to be a bunch of vehicles purchased under staff approvals, which are like a competitive agreement. Why weren't these folks purchasing under that competitive agreement? What's
These, East Mississippi State Hospital in Boswell, they declared a type 1 for their,
let's speak up a bit.
I said that Boswell and East Mississippi, they declared a type 1 for their purchases. They had in their letters explanations as to why, but you know, with the type 1, we cannot deny them. So when they declare an emergency.
So if they say it's a type 1, they have the ability to declare type 1 without any review from any other regulatory board?
No, sir.
Well, shit, why don't y'all just do it? Let's make this easy. We can go home. You know, that doesn't, I mean, there needs to be some overview. What do you
Are
think?
some of these, the 25, that's the older model, right, which are not on state contract, 26 is on state
They're
contract.
not
The
available.
contract,
These are vehicles that are not on state contract,
Not
and
available.
in their letter, they describe some issues.
Repeat
with-
that now.
because this is the old year model, they're no longer under the new contract. 26s are on the new model, new contract. And the contracts are for short windows on some of the vehicles, even since we come back. So they may be trying to get rid of the dealers, trying to get rid of the older models. And they can get, not necessarily a better deal, but they can negotiate a little bit. And it may be lower pricing, I don't know that, but.
Also, the state contracts were at that time of year where a cutoff has happened, the manufacturers have said, we can't give you anymore. So if these entities didn't know during the ordering timeframe 9 months ago that they were gonna need these, then they're left kind of with a gap. And they may need them now. They can't wait till the new ones come out, which type 1, their executive director is saying this affects the health, wellness, or property is in danger if we don't get these now. So that's kind of the declaration they've made, saying we can't wait for the new contract.
It's called a type 1.
That's right. There's a type 1 and a type 2. A type 1 means they are certifying that if they don't make this purchase, it will have a negative effect on the person or property of the state.
So we got 6 vans. Or two, yeah. These vans will have a negative effect.
If they don't purchase those vans.
That's transporting people.
Yeah.
From regional, from various places.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of, and there's also a lot of vehicles that aren't on state contract. I tried to buy one for our fire department. They didn't have them on state contract.
They did not have.
I had to
Yeah,
go.
when we get to that staff approval, there were some companies I didn't recognize. You know, I recognize Cannon Motors or Kirk Brothers or those kind of things that you normally see. Cannon Chevrolet, so forth. There were some companies that state contract I didn't recognize. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just was wondering why one's the other, you know. Mr. Chairman? Go ahead.
All right, we'll go to any other questions, comments?
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to, OPT, finished sole source purchase.
Just a matter of question, I'm looking at football helmets and equipment for helmets. Kind of equipment for helmets do we do?
So the helmets come just as a helmet, and then everything else is
Like
separate.
face mask,
Chest mask,
scarf,
face mask.
Shields.
All the-
all that
All that
stuff.
stuff inside the helmet.
Yeah.
And this is the sole source. I guess Right doesn't sell helmets anymore, Bell doesn't sell helmets anymore. They only one spot, only one place has got it.
It's certain ones, and a lot of it is for the safety of with concussions and injuries. So these particular ones says something about some sort of device inside the track, the metrics of injuries and impact and all that. So it's pretty interesting.
I know it's a lot.
So all that has.
I know they're not leather anymore, I know that.
Yeah.
You don't have a big bag.
They got a big bad helmet anymore. Let's see.
I think we should get new design.
What's that?
You know, we got a new design helmet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, brand new helmet coming.
Okay.
This must be it. Any other questions or comments? We'll move on to OPT FM staff approved.
That's where I had the question about, these automobiles under the compared to purchase agreement. So you're telling me that these are all 26 miles, they're not 25 miles?
These are all gonna still be 25 on your state contract. It's still available through September 30th.
And Danny's team is awaiting an opening
Yeah, Thursday.
Friday. So Friday,
So Thursday's the bid.
Thursday,
Thursday.
tomorrow. The new vehicle contract for next year will be open and we'll see who all has responded. We hope we get.
Good response, yeah.
You never know. But hopefully we get a good variety this year.
Yeah, I was looking at one of them for, NDOT bought these roads from Brookway Corporation.
That was Paul Barnett.
Uh-huh.
That's Paul Barnett. Paul Barnett.
Good. I mean, that's the first time I've seen that.
That's a state contract, yeah,
Any
that's a
cars
state
being built
contract.
along. Where's the other?
Brookhaven.
Okay. So it is Mississippi,
That's Mississippi Company and state contract.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? We'll move on to, BLB staff approvals.
These percentages that are negotiated on there, are they negotiated per contract, or is there a standard, we're gonna give you 9%, or
No,
how's that work?
I can answer, Glenn can answer, but 9 and 10 is our job order program.
That, these are 9 or 10%?
9 or 10%, depending on landmark, non-landmark. building.
That's our fast track
Mhm.
procurement, expediting procurement, to go faster, get this stuff done.
I mean, obviously, it involves, those kind of contracts where you negotiate it lower. I didn't know if that was a standard.
All of ours are based on complexity or either job order, 9 or 10%.
Okay. So not really any room. Is that like statutory or policy? Is it written up?
The statute says we can only, well, there's two statutes involved. One is we have to use a qualification-based selection process.
Yeah.
And the other is the Board of Architecture and Board of Engineers prohibit bidding on certain engineering services. So typically, the state establishes a fee schedule, and has a different fee schedule, but similar process.
So a guy can't come in there and say, all right, this guy wants 9, I'll do it for 7.
Not for
Not-
architects and engineers,
Not for what?
architects and engineers.
That's not the process currently.
Okay, okay,
It's not, it's subject to legislation like anything else.
okay. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? Move on to OPSCR emergency contract.
Morning.
These child protection service contracts, Center for Youth Center, so forth, Temple Hill, 230,000, 438,000. Are they for a single child or is that for a number of children? How does that work?
I believe one is for a single child. CD.
So that's per child. In other words, I got a problem, the state has a child that needs help. They place him and it's going, in this particular organization, so well, I'll take it for $138,000.
Yes, I can't really speak to how they arrived at the cost, but I know that these are some of the contracts that are recently approved through procurement, so hopefully they won't need as many, but this particular contract was entered into before the board was able to approve the procured vendor.
So, but it's, once again, it's per child. Well, that's one child.
That's the way the letter reads for a child named CD.
It's where, so typically what they do is when they do these emergency contracts, they'll say one child and the rate could be, I know there's a place in Texas that I think is like $1,200. So what they do is they just do the entire contract for 355 days. Now, sometimes the child may leave within 3 months or 4 months, but as far as these contracts, they, last month you got approved 8 new contracts where they're able to pull from. Some of the emergencies they have done over the year, some of those children have been transferred to the new contracts. Some I'm not sure of, but these are definitely going to slow down in the next couple.
What happens to these children when they hit 18? Are they just released out into child protection services?
Do we have anybody from CPS on the line that could explain the process?
Hi, this is Harrison Parker, staff attorney at CPS. There are different mechanisms that come into place when a child reaches 18. Generally speaking, our legal obligation to a child no longer exists at 18. We provide all of the services that we can up until that age and try to get kids in the best situation possible at that time. But up to 20 years old is when we're able to provide services. But outside of that, there's nothing that we as the agency can do after that point.
So you don't keep up with it. We just say, okay, we've done all we can do. Is that how that works?
I mean, we are child protection services, so that is our purview.
I would say if there's mental illness, a lot of times those folks ended up at state hospital.
Is what?
I said if there was mental illness as part of this, a lot of those folks ended up at state hospital.
Or there's got to be. I mean, when you spend $500,000 on a kid, there's a lot wrong with it. I mean, he doesn't automatically at 18 say, poof, it's all gone. I mean, he needs help. He needs $500 million a year worth of help at 16. He damn sure don't need some help at 19. I mean, I just, do we follow up on them? Do we try to place them in some mental facilities or try to, or just child protective services, we've done all we can do, or how's that work?
Now you see the question.
Well, I would say be unique for each individual. So I mean, if they become a danger to themselves and others as an adult at 18, they're likely to end up in courts and back at, and out at state hospitals.
But I'm not saying y'all do anything about it. I just, you know, if we got kids out there that need help, we need to try to find some way to help. It's not that I'm concerned with. I thank you for your explanation. Good.
Any other questions, comments? I believe F, OPSCR sole source, I don't think we have any this month. I think we got a blank. Okay. We move to OPSCR staff approvals.
I'm looking at Orange CPA, for Mississippi and this thing, as a statutory exemption, but that's not, is that bid? Is that contract bid? Or
It doesn't have to be, by statute, accounting and auditing contracts are exempt, but some agencies choose to do a competitive process anyway, but it's not required.
What's to ensure that the state gets the best deal if it's not competitive bid?
I mean, that would be on the executive director to make sure that they're getting the best value for a contractor or whatever.
That's all they say.
We're one of the few states, if the only state that does not require that for, basically for most all professional services.
The executive director has a choice.
No, I mean, Mississippi does not require bidding for professional services such as accounting, engineering, legal.
So once again, executive director.
Comes back down to the entity itself.
It's who he's comfortable with or trust or whatever.
Or who's qualified.
Yeah.
You gotta be qualified.
Some of these departments have certain expertise.
Yeah,
And you would want to look at the firms that have that expertise.
And you have ancillary oversight, like Bureau of Building, for instance, would know the engineers. And would probably, and you wouldn't necessarily approve, it depending on how involved Bureau of Building was involved in the agency or university or whatever. If they chose an engineer, if any of the funds came through them, there would be another person looking at it to know if the person's qualified. But and most of the building aspects are building service and advertised.
I got my question. Thank you.
Really, at the top, I think there were two $800,000, two of them, or one, maybe I made that up. There's one of them. Do we still have a nursing shortage? With all the universities and junior colleges that have these nursing programs.
I don't know if we have a nursing shortage. I do know that they use the PVL for this, so this is our state contract. Our state contract for nursing at the moment is pretty robust. So that's why y'all aren't seeing nearly as many emergencies for nursing services, which to me probably indicates there's not as much of a nursing shortage, but that's kind of all the information I have, is that our PVL is pretty full at the moment, which is a good sign. Our state contract is full with different nursing staffing providers, which is great compared to what it was 4 years ago, when I don't know that we even had two that were able to provide nurses at the rate we looked at because such a shortage.
I would also say that state agencies don't meet competitive pay. Therefore, they have to buy off the contract because they can't fill the positions that they have, because they're not, the salary of the positions is not as high as the contract.
And that's the answer. I had that question too. Why so many of them, the state can't pay what the market is. So you gotta go out there and pay what the market is, so you get it on.
You pay the market through a contract, you do
Pay
pay
market for the contract.
because you have all kinds of regulations of the salaries under state person board and others, so it's just, it's a challenge.
Is the 800,000 when Hudspeth is appropriated funds, is that 800,000 through contractual services or is it through payroll? How does it classify from a legislative standpoint?
I don't know. Do we have someone from Hudspeth on the line that could speak to y'all?
And I think that's not just a Hudspeth issue, that's a
Yeah, but the statewide, now we have a lump sum budgets at agencies, so they can still move money.
they can still move around, okay.
But it's probably a contract, because it is contractual services. But it's been a lump sum budget for a number of years.
On these if we do a contract for nursing services, are those people that are come under that contract, are they eligible for the state, health insurance?
No.
Are they eligible for peers? No, they don't get peers.
They're contract workers.
So they are contract workers, so they don't get benefits in their full-time employment.
They're not
You
part of the
factor
insurance
that-
program, PERS, Social Security.
You factor that into it, we may be getting a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cost of these, hiring a full-time.
Well, the fringe side of this thing is probably 25 to 35%. Just in addition to the salary of the person, while the salary is low, you add another 35% to it, it jumps on up there. I mean, what you said about lump sum budgeting though, I thought about that last month on some of these. I was thinking, well, we're doing it this way because we don't have enough salary money. So we're gonna hire them as a contract because we got enough money in contracts, but if we got lump sum budgets, it doesn't make any difference.
I just know from our, business, our health insurance in the last 3 years is probably double as far as what, we're self-insured. And so, you got to factor those costs in. The state's not gonna be any different. Their costs are gonna go up too, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Got it. All right, so we'll move on to section 5.
Ready, so I'm Dave Lynch with OPTFM. The first item under consideration of state agency contracts and board actions with the Mississippi Department of Transportation with Macomb Diesel in the amount of $4,325,510. This contract was originally approved by the board on October 2nd, 2024, and this is the second of 9 possible 6-month extensions, with the first extension being approved by this board on March 5th of 2025. OPTFM is recommending approval of this extension.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval of this item.
Second.
I got one question. I see that it's Macomb Diesel who got this contract, and but also saw Macomb Diesel was also on staff approval on that bid. Is it because it says these excavators are not on a state contract?
Yes, sir.
And the other vehicles are.
I did another procurement for this particular.
So you have a state contract with this type of vehicles that are available.
This is chassis cab here.
These are not.
Okay. We have a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next item is also with MDOT, with Macomb Diesel for truck tractors in the amount of $5,781,520. MDOT solicited competitive sealed bids for the procurement of up to 20 truck tractors in which to award to Macomb Diesel. This contract will have 4 possible 12-month extensions, will be available to other state agencies and governing authorities. OPTFM recommends approval of this contract.
You heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval of this item.
Second.
Any questions? Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, item number 3, also with MDOT, with Duke's A&W Enterprises in the amount of $577,520. MDOT solicited competitive sealed bids for the purchase of a minimum of 15 and a maximum of 40 snow plows. This contract was originally approved by this board on
October 2nd, 2024. And this is the second of 9 possible 6-month extensions. OPTFM is recommending approval of this extension.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions?
Just a comment. I
Well,
will say the only time
15 snow plows.
only time I have ever had a plane de-iced in Jackson, Mississippi, I was scared that nobody knew what they were doing. But yes, there are a couple of times when we might need these. I don't know what the age is. Is Harrison on the phone? I don't know what the age of existing snow plows in this state are.
Yeah. Do y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the
so,
age of our existing snow plows?
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of these are being replaced, cause the other ones have hit their lifespan. We have bought 36 snow plows, off this contract so far. It's mainly in the north, part of the state. The central have bought some, and as you know, last year, the southern part of the state was hit with a, snowstorm that we hadn't seen in 50 years. So these snow plows were brought down from the north part of the state to help out the southern part of the state. So a lot of them are purchased in the north where they get the ice and stuff. Rarely will you see them purchased in the southern part of the state. The central buys a few here and there.
And I guess they're cranked in every now and then just to make sure they can keep working.
That is correct. We have equipment managers in every district that make sure it operates and everything. And as you know, everything sometimes exceeds its lifespan and we have to buy some new ones.
How many hours can you put on a snowplow?
What was the question?
How many hours you get on a snowplow before it starts? You gotta need a new one.
I couldn't answer that question. I'm not 100% sure. They have improved the specs a lot to get more life out of the contract and to attach it to trucks and deattach it real easily. So I'm not sure how many hours. A lot of it probably has to do with what the kind of coated material you put on there to make sure the salt and all that stuff doesn't really rust the iron out and stuff.
So these are attached to the front of like a large dump truck or whatever.
It would be on a tandem axle. And on our tandem axles, there is an option for one of them that has an extension out where you can attach a snowplow on there. And these are usually purchased by the northern counties of the state.
All right, Harrison, you need to get a picture of one of these where you sitting on it and send it back to us.
And I want a picture of how many hours are on each side. I've seen tractors that got 300 hours.
But these are non-motorized, right? I mean, they're attached to a truck or something.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Not a
So
truck, it's not a truck. Yeah, okay.
They make rust.
Yeah.
All the salt they push them on.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
All right, the next item is an extension with MDOT with Trax Plus in the amount of $2,549,000. This is for the extension of motor graders. This contract was originally approved by this board on October 2nd, 2024, and this will be the second of 9 possible 6-month extensions. OPTFM is recommending approval of this extension.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve? Second. A motion, we have 2 motions and 2 seconds. And we now have a third. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Next item is an extension, again with MDOT, with Nutrien AG Solutions, Synergy Partners, Helena Agri Enterprises, Azelis US Holdings, and Orion Solutions. Total for all contracts is $4.7 million. MDOT solicited competitive sealed bids for multiple herbicides on an as-needed basis for all of their locations. The contract was awarded all bidders that met specifications and requirements. The contract was originally approved by this board on October 2nd of 2024, and this will be the first of 2 possible 12-month extensions. OPTFM is recommending approval of this extension.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can you get a motion to approve? Approve this item. Have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next item, again with MDOT with Trax Plus, in the amount of $1,488,000. This was a bid for hydraulic excavators and was originally approved by the board on March 1st of 2023, with extensions approved on September 6th of 2023, March 6th of 2024, September 4th of 2024, and March 5th of 2025, with this being the fifth of nine possible. All right, extensions. Sorry about that typo there. OPTFM is recommending approval of this extension.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, next item is with the University of Mississippi Medical Center with Illumina Incorporated, with an original value of $825,000. This is a value being added to this contract, bringing it to a total of $1,672,336.35. This board approved a request on September 4th, 2024 for the sole source purchase of proprietary reagents, kits, and supplies for their sequencing and analysis of multiple assays used on the Illumina sequencing platform. UMMC is now requesting an additional $847,336.35 for growth and expansion of this project. OPTFM recommends approval of this contract increase.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move for approval with a question.
Second.
Question.
My question is, so is the individual unit pricing the same as just expanding the volume of this?
I think it was just it might have been individualized. Is someone from UMMC on the line?
Yes, this is Sleeve McDonald, Director of Category Management Procurement. These are the same. Historically, these instruments have been utilized in our research divisions. However, our clinical labs have adopted those same practices and they've purchased these instruments as well. So we just need to have additional funds added to that P1 to accommodate the spend that they anticipate in addition to the research lab.
The unit pricing remains the same, it's just you're expanding the volume. Okay, thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Lee.
Oh, I got a question. This is reagents, kits, and supplies for analysis of multiple testing. What are you testing for? What do these things do? Will they test for DNA or HIV or?
No, they're DNA sequencers. I'm not clinical, so if there's not anybody from the lab available to answer that question, I can just tell you they're used in our research area and in our clinical lab. So they're used in animal testing and in human patients.
It's usually DNA. What I read is usually DNA, Mr. Russell. That's
Yeah.
DNA, I think. When I review this, that's what I remember seeing.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
All right, next up is with Ellisville State Schools with Jones County Medical Supplies with an original value of $1 million. This is increasing this contract to $1.5 million. Ellisville State Schools solicited bids for the purchase of wheelchairs, wheelchair parts, adaptive equipment, and on-site training and maintenance. They are requesting an extension of 1 year, additional funds to keep purchasing these products. This contract was originally approved by this board on April 3rd of 2024. OPTFM is recommending approval of the contract extension and increase.
First staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Second. And I have a question. Same thing, is this, I don't know if anybody's Ellisville is on the line, but is this the same unit pricing and typical volume?
Yeah. I think if someone Ellisville needs to step in, but I believe that's.
And obviously repairs, you can't really, they're based on whatever, per hour or something. Thank you.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
All right, next item up is with the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency with 3 vendors, Storm Services, Hope Springs, and Kinrow Manufacturing. All contracts for $4.5 million. This was competitive sealed bids for standby bottled water to utilize during disaster events. The first extension was approved by this board on October 2nd, 2024, and this is the second of 4 possible 1-year extensions. OPTFM is recommending approval of this extension.
You've heard staff recommendations. Can I hear a motion to approve?
Move approve to this item.
Second.
I have a question. Is this one of those contracts where you only pay if you use it? Or we're,
I believe so, yeah. If NEMA needs to confirm that, I think that's correct.
okay.
And I guess to add to that, in the event that, say, Hope Springs, is that a Arkansas, is that one?
I know there's Oak Springs, Arkansas, but I don't.
But, so my question is, so let's say there's a storm in Louisiana and we've all got Hope Springs. They're committed to however many bottles of water that we have under their contract, us, as well as if they have multiple contracts, they're just gonna be generating water. We
Right.
guarantee hours.
Right, yeah.
Says, in the contract, it says for standby, so I would think it's only
Yeah.
as used.
As you.
And given the amounts, they're all.
Well, and they're generating water, so I mean, it's, it's just a matter, we have a disaster, we get the next, we may usurp somebody else's priority if we've got a contract.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion passes.
All right, the next item is with MDOT with GNS Holdings in the amount of $2,472,667.50. This was a contract using sealed bids for the purchase of a minimum of 6 or maximum 30 compact track loaders. The contract will have 4 possible 12-month extensions. OPTFM is recommending approval of this contract.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, that's on staff recommendation.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor? Motion passes.
The next item is with Mississippi Department of Public Safety with Canon USA in the amount of $998,256. DPS received approval from PPRB on June 4th of 2025 for agency copiers, and they're requesting an adjustment of dates due to delivery days. This is just a contract changing the dates in the system, which has to come back to the board for approval. So OPTFM is recommending approval of this modification.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve? So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
We move to DFA Bureau of Buildings, Grounds and Real Estate. Go ahead, Adrian.
All right, the first and only item today is a change order which exceeds 25% of the original contract for Northeast Mississippi Community College, GS number 212072, ARPA Infrastructure Stormwater to J.M. Duncan, Inc. The original contract sum is $533,117. The total value of award before this change order was $664,243.40. And the total value of this change order is $15,964 with 353 calendar days, including 28 days for this change order. The scope is to prepare additional surface area and thereby increasing total quantity of crushed stone surfacing for 554 square yards. BAB recommends PPRB approval contingent upon executable change order.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve? So moved. Second.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, David.
I'm trying to make these numbers work. We got an approved change order of $16,000 on $600,000 contract. Am I reading that right?
When it goes to exceed 25% is what it should be, I think.
Was that obviously 16,000?
But you add that to the
131, it's
131 above it.
25% of the original contract award, which is 25% of the 533. You can do, we have somehow come to the PPRB until change order sit 25%.
And the, 15 and the 131 are exceed combined at exceed.
So the 16,000 is above the 25%?
Correct.
That's where you got that number?
It should be cumulative of plus when you add it, it should be.
So we didn't have to approve the up to 25,
Right.
but the 16 is an additional to the
Once
25.
it crosses the line.
That's what triggered this.
Yes.
And you'll see it you've seen it with a lot of ARPA projects, trying to, as we go
I
through.
just couldn't make it add up. That makes sense. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank
First category of leases will be non-competitive leases. The first one is with Mississippi Forestry Commission out in Raven, Mississippi for 1,200 square feet at a yearly cost of $2,700. That's $2.25, and that is inclusive. This hangar stores the aircraft owned and operated by Mississippi Forestry Commission. This is a month-to-month lease. Forestry Commission asked PPRB for a waiver on the restriction of no more than 2 renewals of not more than 12 months each, as written in the leasing manual under Part 300.95B. Forestry Commission is in the process of constructing a hangar at this airport, and the agency has been at this location since September of 20. RPM recommends the approval of this lease.
First staff recommendation, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approved based on staff recommendation.
Second, quick question. How long does it take to build this building?
How long have we been with?
I mean, I've been seeing this rental for the last 5 years.
I think we're finally
It's like
gonna
me
get to
building
it.
My shop.
Glenn, you have an update on it? I know they were having some issues with water.
Good. Okay.
And they had to go through the process of maybe doing some re-engineering for the sprinkler system, or maybe not putting the sprinkler system in by waiver or whatever. But it's taken a while.
It's taking a while, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say for my hangars at Delta State, there's also usually an argument based on the door. But I don't know, cantilever up, does it open to the sides? Oh,
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
We've been seeing this for several years.
It
They've
went-
been in plans.
It goes all the way back to Madison when they were out there. And we couldn't get that particular hangar because the city of Madison didn't want to give it to us or sign it over to us. And we had to move out to Raymond, and it's a whole different box of mosquitoes in that one. So,
and this hangar's outside of the city limits, right? It's in the county.
it's in the county.
Okay, any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
The next lease is with the Mississippi Department of Human Services. This is in Houston, Mississippi for 1,288 square feet, yearly cost of $7,824 or $6.07 plus utilities and janitorial. Purpose of the lease, this is Human Services Office for Chickasaw County, not Wilkerson County, and that will be corrected. This is a 5-year lease with no options to renew. This lease may change yearly with the number of assigned employees at this location. A review will be conducted every year to assess the federal share of the lease reimbursement. RPM recommends the approval of this lease. And that shouldn't be ratification, but rather approval.
You heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
I've moved based on a couple of changes here.
So,
Motion and second. All in favor? Motion passes.
The next non-competitive bid, or rather lease, is with Mississippi Department of Finance and Administration, Office of Air Transport here in Jackson, and that's for 3,260 square feet at a yearly cost of $53,638.08. That's $15.79. That is an inclusive figure. This hangar is used to store and maintenance support services for the state aircraft. This is a 1-year lease with automatic 1-year renewals at the anniversary date of the initial term. After the initial term, this agreement will continue in effect from year to year, being automatically renewed after each year unless either party give written notice of termination with or without cause to the other party at least 60 calendar days prior to the end of the initial term or any renewal term. The rate of the lease may be adjusted by the CPI plus 2.5% on or around the anniversary date of the effective date. This agreement is contingent on receiving a signed contract, and I believe we have received that. DFA asked PPRB for a waiver on the restriction of no more than 2 renewals of not more than 12 months, each as written in the state leasing manual under 300.95B. RPM recommends the approval of this lease. And again, we've been trying to get a hangar built out there probably as long as I've had this position.
Why don't we just move the plane over at Raymond? We go from $16 a square foot to $2 a square foot. What's the thought on
Will
that?
it land?
We need to get on that.
Yeah.
It'll land out there?
Oh, sure.
I
Yeah.
didn't know what, how long.
Get it on the table.
That's
5,000 square feet, 5,000 feet. Yeah.
good.
I move for approval to get it on the agenda. I mean, for discussion.
All right, so
I need a second.
you've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move for it to get it on the agenda. Discussion.
So,
We have a motion and a second.
I do have a question as well. So are we, by approving this, are we creating an unending contract? Is that what we're doing by waiving the restrictions of 2 renewals and 12 months and all this other stuff? Is there an end date is really my question in the contract?
I'll tell you what, let me refer that over to our legal folks.
Is it a perpetual lease until DFA says? Yeah, oh, well, yeah, but yeah.
Any other questions? Comments?
If it's now the time to make a comment, like just move it over at Raymond. It's like $50,000 a year. Is it just convenience or what's the?
I think it's gonna be convenience.
Well, and other, I know,
Look at it.
Enough said.
you know, and I mean, I just, in other incidents with Delta State having the plane, it was convenience when you were trying to, if you were getting somebody to Mississippi and you needed to get them from the airport, if they flew in a commercial flight or something to Jackson, you need to get at least another plane to get them to wherever they're going. Ultimately, I know we did some of that.
Well, I also say there's some maintenance, I said there's some maintenance, facilities in this house.
Yeah,
Raymond doesn't have.
It's more than just a storage. It's
More than storage.
And they're probably using av fuel rather than little, I don't know what, the small planes were using.
There are some technical things as far as the flight equipment that the airport has, like one-way visual range equipment.
Emergency vehicles.
Well, it's the RVR is basically, there's policies that I understand where they're using that as a precaution as far as safety. And Raymond doesn't have that.
FAA stuff.
Is the maintenance provided by the airport authority?
I think we have a maintenance person on staff.
Oh, we have a maintenance.
I believe so.
So flying to Raymond, you fly by Highway 18, that's your guide.
At the Natchez Trace. Just to the west of the Natchez Trace.
So I have another question on the term of this. Are we opening this up for other agencies? I don't know how many agencies or entities that have planes. There won't be many, but that would be wanting to do the same thing.
Well, the entity that we're dealing with out at the international airport is located in Florida. And they have their whole board of legal folks. They like to consult with the contracts that we have.
Facilitating that process a little bit.
Right. And it seems like every time we come in with, like last time we renewed this, they had the same wording to it. And we wouldn't have brought it before the board if they hadn't changed, felt like they needed to change a couple of sentences in the contract. But since they wanted to change that language, then we had to come back to y'all for approval. So this is the 2.5% increase. To me, it's a little bit high, but it's, you know, when they want the image of the Jackson International Airport, that's where it's got to be.
Okay.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
The next lease is the wildlife farmland lease. Consider a request from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks to award the following new farmland WMA lease for 1 year to Triple R Farms. A check for the full rent was delivered with the bid to Wildlife for the year of 2025. This request from Wildlife includes a lease for 1 year in duration for grain crop only, with one option to renew by mutual consent in writing by December 1st of the given year, with payment for the renewal term received by Wildlife no later than December 1st of that given year. Selection was based upon the highest of 2 bids received, and RPM recommends the approval of this new farmland lease.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Approved based on staff. Okay.
And a second with the question. Question is, I know we normally have this, I guess it's, this is a wildlife, so normally the corrections, they have 8-year limits. Do we do any limits with wildlife?
5.
5, okay.
5 year. They can, as long as they have done what they're supposed to do, the farmer has done what they're supposed to do, and they deliver a check before December 1st, then they can renew for up to 5 years. After 5 years, it has to go out to bid again.
So this is saying only renew it with one option for renewal. So that's only for 1 more year, right?
That's correct.
2 years.
It's
Is that
renewed
to get
1
it on
year.
the cycle or what? I mean, to get it, okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
The next category is emergency leases, and I would ask the board that we would table these 2 emergency leases until next month's meeting.
Vote on that. We need to vote to table. Okay.
Ready to go to the next section?
We have to vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They said no.
We don't.
They said,
Okay.
all right, they nodded no.
It must have been loud and all.
It wasn't loud enough.
I feel the wind.
Let's start my system.
Okay. Where we are.
AJ. All right,
All right, so we'll move to,
DFA Office of Personal Service Contract.
Good morning, Kimberly Burns with OPSDR, Mississippi Department of Medicaid, Mississippi Division of Medicaid is requesting the use of a request for proposal with the anticipated term of 3 years with 2 optional 1-year renewals. The agency is seeking 1 contractor to conduct external quality review consistent with federal regulations for the managed care programs. The agency contends that the use of an invitation for bids is neither practical nor advantageous because the agency needs to evaluate based on technical and performance capability, and price is not the most important factor. Offers will be evaluated on technical weighted at 35%, management at 30%, and cost price at 35%. OPSDR recommends approval of this request.
You heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval of this item.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any questions? All in favor? Motion passes.
Good morning, I'm Chelsea Stewart with OPSCR, and number one is the contract from the Mississippi Department of Finance Administration Office of Insurance. The term of the original contract was 5 years with one optional 1-year renewal. The contractor provides pharmacy benefit management services for the state and school employees' health insurance plan. The agency has determined that exigent circumstances exist that prevent it from running a competitive solicitation before the expiration of its current contract due to all 3 proposals from potential vendors being deemed unresponsive and the formal solicitation being canceled on March 6, 2025. The current vendor, CVS Health, has agreed to execute a 1-year extension until December 30, 2026 to allow the state employees' health insurance plan to continue services while the agency reissues an RFP for a new contract. Given the current circumstances, it's in the best interest of the Office of Insurance and the state of Mississippi to proceed with the execution of the amendment of the existing contract on an exigent basis. Amendment 6 has been submitted to update the consideration clause and incorporation of documents. All other terms and conditions remain the same. Based on the agency's determination that the requirements for exigent circumstances have been met, OPSCR recommends approval of this request.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion approval, question.
Second.
Have a motion second, David.
Well, if I'm reading this correctly, the term of the contract is through 12/31/2026. Is that correct? Reading up there under the term 1/1/21 to 12/31/2026. That's the term of this contract, is 5 years. Is that correct?
But in the body, it says extending it to 30.
Well, it's extended to December 31, 2026.
Yes, sir.
Why are we extending a contract that's already in place?
That term includes the new extension. So it is set to expire this year. If y'all approve it, it will go
So it's
through.
expected, it's supposed to expire in 2025?
Yes, sir.
2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25, 26. 26 is 5 years. So why, it looks like it's all expired in 2026, unless I'm reading it wrong.
It's 1/1/21, which is the whole year 21, not just the start in 21. So it's 21, 22, 23,
So
24,
it
25.
will end January 1, 2026. So they want to extend it to December 2026. Is that correct?
That's right.
Is that the way it works?
It's 5 years with a 1-year extension. But a lot of times when you look at that, you think, well, the first year don't count, but this is a whole year. The first year is a whole year.
No question.
So all of them just, they're unresponsive.
So what happened in this one, they did run a competitive solicitation, and all of the vendors that responded took exception to the proposed contract that the state provided and would not rescind their exceptions. So they were all deemed unresponsive per the terms of the solicitation.
So you're starting over.
And we will figure out a new plan for the.
Okay.
So those conditions were not in the original contract, as the state added, additional conditions in order to bid in the new.
So the contract was released with the solicitation. So it was there originally. When they responded, the vendor said, we respond, however, we take exception to A, B, C, D, and E.
And all 3 did the same thing.
Different exceptions, but all
But
3.
they all had exceptions.
That's right.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passed.
All right, number 2, A through I on the agenda are contracts from the Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services. Each contract's term is 1 year with 4 optional 1-year renewals. The contractors will provide professional services needed to create and host comprehensive pre-employment transition service training events for MDRS clients. The contractors were selected through a request for qualifications with 12 respondents. The contracts were awarded to the highest scoring responsive and responsible respondents. OPSCR recommends approval of this request.
First staff recommendation, can I get a motion to approve?
Move approval of this item.
Second.
Have a motion second, any questions?
So they approved 9 out of the 12
Yes, sir.
responses. They were all deemed.
Responsive and responsible.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Motion passes.
Kimberly Burns again with OPSCR. Mississippi Department of Human Services is requesting to enter into a contract with JLK Global Enterprises in the amount of $386,880. The term of the contract is 3 years with 2 optional 1-year renewals. The contractor will provide dental services to students housed at the Oakley Youth Development Center. The contractor was selected through an invitation for bids with 3 respondents and awarded to the lowest bidder. OPSCR recommends approval of this request contingent upon the receipt of the required documentation, a registration in good standing with the Mississippi Secretary of State, and certificate of insurance.
You've heard staff recommendation, can I get a motion to approve?
Move for approval based on staff recommendation.
So
Have a motion and a second, any questions? All in favor? Motion passes.
Hello, good morning. I'm Joshua Gilda with the Office of Personal Service Contract Review. Item number 4 is a contract modification between Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce and Waste Management of Mississippi Incorporated. The contractor provides waste management services on an as-needed basis for events at the Mississippi State Fairgrounds Complex. The term of the contract is 4 years with 1 optional 1-year renewal. Amendment 1 has been submitted to increase the speeding authority and update the consideration clause. All other terms and conditions of the original contract remain the same. OPSCR recommends approval of this request contingent upon receipt of the required certificate of insurance.
You've heard staff recommendation, can I get a motion to approve?
Move for approval based on staff recommendation. Any question?
So
Question.
yeah.
Well, my question is just as a thought for Department of Ag along the way, is they may want to change that contract renewal date, just because that's right in the middle of, or right at the beginning of the rodeo. In case anybody ever had a belly up concern, but you don't want it at the rodeo or the state fair, but that's just a thought. Everybody questions, all right, it's comment.
The question I have is this, it may be just more of a general question. This certificate of insurance that's required, obviously the department is named as an additional insured. Are there any individuals within the department, and this is not just for the Ag and Commerce, but for any agency that requires a certificate of insurance? Are there any individuals who are added as additional insured? Is that the executive director, or do we know that? Or is that?
I haven't seen that. It's usually the state of Mississippi and the entity. That doesn't mean there doesn't exist one that may have that.
Yeah.
But the terms of the insurance are normally determined by the agency, the amount and what's required on there. So we just make sure whatever they required in their solicitation,
The agency determines.
the agency determines their insurance needs
That they're covered, that the people are covered and whatnot.
appropriately. That's right.
All right, thank you.
And like, I guess, for instance, here, you're saying so they could have additional insurance to protect the guests. Because if you're at the fair or at the rodeo, you've got animals and people wandering all over the place. So Waste Management shows up and they run over somebody, that's trying to protect them.
That's right. If whatever insurance needs they think is appropriate for whatever service they're buying, they are allowed to require that from the vendor.
Thank you.
Okay, there's no something happens, trial lawyers is going to sue everybody and everything that is not nailed down. And so I just want to make sure the state employees who work a facility, for example, the head of the fair commission who work in the state fair, in addition to the commissioner you know, these guys are indemnified in case something happens. And so what you're telling me, Brittany, is that the overall indemnification for the Ag and Commerce Department should cover their employees
Yes,
and the negligence and so forth.
that's right. And then if the agency thought something additional was needed, they are free to do that.
Okay, all right.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Item number 5 is a new contract between Mississippi State Department of Health and University of Mississippi Medical Center. The contractor will provide clinical support to the Office of Tuberculosis and Refugee Health at the agency. The term of the contract is approximately 5 years with no optional renewals. Pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated 2710472, agencies under the purview of PPRB may contract with government entities not under the purview of the PPRB without bidding or other solicitation. The agency has determined the price represents a fair market value for the service. OPSCR recommends approval of this request.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move for approval based on staff recommendation.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor? Motion passes.
Item number 6 is a new contract between Mississippi State Department of Health and Mississippi State University. The contractor will provide board management training program services for community public water system board members in accordance with Mississippi Code annotated 4426.101, requiring board members elevated or reelected after June 30, 1998 on a governing board of any community water system to attend the board management training program. The term of the contract is approximately 5 years with no optional renewals. And pursuant to Mississippi Code annotated Mississippi Code annotated 2710472I, agencies under the purview of the PPRB may contract with government entities not under the purview of the PPRB without bidding or other solicitation. The agency has determined the price represents a fair market value for the service. OPSTR recommends approval of this request.
You've heard staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move for approval based on staff recommendation.
So
Have a motion and a second. Any questions?
I've got a question. Where's the board management training for this board?
Do I have Chris or Dr. Young on the line, please?
Hey, this is Dorothy. Good morning. Can you repeat the question? It was a little hard to hear it.
I'm wondering about the board management training for the board that's sitting right here evaluating the contract.
We're not over.
Show up, that's the only training I got.
We're not over water, so this one doesn't apply to us. But this is basically saying any little rural water association can use this contract because it's covered here under all the others, governmental entities, et cetera.
No further questions or smart comments. Smart aleck comments.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Angela Cooper with OPSCR. Item number 7, Specialized Treatment Facility has submitted a new contract with Penny Daggett in the amount of $465,048 with a term of 2 years and 10 months with one optional 2-year renewal. Penny Daggett is a psychiatric nurse practitioner who will provide primary psychiatric care for all patients in collaboration with child/adolescent psychiatrists. The contract worker was selected through a request for application and was the sole respondent. Ms. Taggart will be paid $120 per hour, not to exceed 25 hours per week. OPSCR recommends approval of this request.
First staff recommendation. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the question. Second. What agency is the specialized treatment facility associated with?
Mental health.
Is that Department of Health or?
Mental health.
Department of Mental Health.
Is that the one in Brookhaven?
I'm not sure where they're located. Do I have Janice or Dawn on the
This
line?
is in, Gulfport.
Gulfport.
But they are Department of Mental Health associated with them. I've not seen that. These guys show up before. I just didn't know that was a particular state agency or were they a subset of an overall state agency?
I think there's also one, I think there's one in Brookhaven as well, but that, I know they pretty much handle juveniles, up to 18.
Thank you. No further questions.
Do you have a motion and a second? All in favor? Motion passes. We're down to, other business. Anybody have any other business?
I have an announcement.
Okay.
So I'm gonna embarrass her, but, Ms. Tess Bunches is taking over as the director for the Office of Personal Service Contract Review. She will be presenting to you guys from now on for that section of the agenda. I might have noticed she did the reports today, but I just didn't introduce her at that time, so I'm doing it now.
Well, she's been hanging around.
That's right. She's been around a little while.
She's coming from out from behind the Oz curtain.
That's right. So we're excited
Thank
for her to join the team, even though she's already been on the team.
Yay, Tim.
I think David brought up a pretty good point. Is there any, should we get any kind of review after the legislative section? Just a, would it be worth any kind of review of what's passed or the legislation that may affect our decisions or?
We can do a legislative update of anything that touched procurement after the session. Y'all would like us to do something like that?
Well, I think what might be, because you learn on the job is what you can do and not do. I know I came in with certain expectations about what this board could do, what their authority was, not their authority. And I had to learn what the authority was. And I don't know if, I mean, you know, a 2-hour back and forth session with Brittany or any of these qualified people could say, hey, this is what this board does. This is what's expected. This is what you need to look at. This is what you focus on. I know I was sitting here with a certain expectation that I was not allowed to do. And that's what a lot of my questions were. And
initially, and I guess, from the original board, we did have training at the beginning, but everything was new. I mean, the function of the board and a lot of the boundaries, et cetera. And perhaps every new board member, I don't know if we do that for new board members specifically, but we actually had the policies, procedures of the PPRB, and they have changed a good bit within boundaries. And then fortunately, I guess that's from the Rita and I are the only two originals, but when we went through all the creation of all those policies, we saw them over and over and over until they were done. So I guess new board members would not have had that history, but that might be something wise. And then we could have a 2-parter, one for new board members and then part of it as an update. And so you have new board members, maybe they could have their special training, individual training, and anybody can come to it, but then we can have a little legislative update beyond that.
I think that'd be appropriate. I know I got 2 booklets about this thing, and, you know, no offense, I got most people here have their businesses to look after and don't have time to read through a book this thick. But to come in and have somebody say, hey, these, for example, statutory exemptions, you know, professional services, you know, don't want. That's simple. You don't have to read that book to somebody tell you that if that's the case, or the different nuances that show up that may cut down some of my.
One of the things that helped me was I came in prior to COVID. So I got to spend a whole day with each of these books.
Yeah.
You came in right in the middle of COVID, if I remember right. Yeah. So you didn't have that same ability that I had to sit here and talk with you. If you were head of OPSCR at that time, or Ross or Kent or anybody to sit there, and we got these big books, but then they sit there and say, all right, you know, you got 452 pages, but here's what you need to know.
What you need.
And that helps a whole lot.
Help a whole lot.
And especially when you're coming in from outside of the state government, like we both came in
Yeah.
from, we grew up and we cut our teeth on state government, so all these things, we just scaffolded them all of our lives, career, but, especially the boundaries and the benefit. I always said, two of my favorite words were state contract, because that means you eliminated a lot of work on my staff because it was already done on us, on the DFA staff had already done all the work. And so, you know, that lets you know when, you know, hey, somebody's already, it has been reviewed and bid on and et cetera, et cetera. And if they're going buying off that contract, let them buy off the contract.
Well, the thing that just kind of, not overwhelmed me, but the thing that really opened my eyes was the amount of work that goes into bid on a state contract. You know, I open up these deals here and they're, you know, 122 pages. You know, that somebody, some agency sends that out, somebody's got to fill out 100 and something or read 100 and something pages to make sure all the boxes are checked. That's a lot of that kind of work to do, and a lot of work that come in for your group to check. And I didn't have that realization that was going on here, that amount of checking. That gave you a sense of that this thing's being looked at pretty good. But those kind of things would be helpful.
Most people do not realize that what goes on behind the curtain. And that's the reason that, you know, we say based on staff recommendation. Well, I've had people said, well, what do y'all do on this? And I said, number one, I don't look at 5,000 pages of contracts getting ready for a board meeting. We depend on these very capable people that work back here behind the curtain that comes in here and tells us, we looked at this 2,500 page contract. We've looked at the evaluation process and we feel like that they have met the requirements of the statute. That's what I'm looking for. That's
important. I agree.
Yeah, I can't, there's no way that I can go through that process for every one of these contracts every month. Especially the big ones, the Medicaid contracts would be thousands of pages. I mean, we've all sat through protest hearings. Those things look like, you know, this. There's no way you can do that. There's no way. You have to depend on what's behind the curtain on this.
But like I said, I think it's, you know, half day seminar or you know, a half day or something simple. That here's the important thing. This is what's going to come up. Why is this bid? Why is this not bid? Why is this exempt? Why is this agency exempt? You know, those kind of things. That would be helpful.
Yeah, I would think definitely at least 2 hours for every new board member, especially for non-government, state government, in Mississippi. And then an update, it could be a two-parter, or all the rest of us could be involved in the update from the legislature.
Sure.
You could attend the first half of it too, but the tag along thing.
Sure, we can definitely do.
That way get paid another $40.
We can do a legislative update.
There's your revenue all day.
I can report it all.
Now, $40 raise, Dave. You have another one.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'd like to know, you know, what passed in the legislature that will affect our decisions.
Sure.
And here's another, I mean, so I was appointed, I believe, to 5 years, and I really can't remember when that 5 years is up. When is your term up?
I just got reappointed.
You got reappointed, good.
I'm already, so so June, July, I guess, was my second year of my reappointment. I didn't get reappointed in the spring, but it took a year for them to reappoint me.
What about you, Norm?
I was reappointed in 24. I went, the first time I was appointed, nobody told me I had to go to the legislature for the confirmation hearing until 8:15 one morning I got a phone call and said, you need to be there at 8:30, and I said, I can't even put my pants on fast enough to get there. And Laura Jackson was head DFA at that time, and she went over there for me. Yeah.
Like, I went, the first time I went before the board, and they asked me a number of questions. The only thing I asked, was there anything I need to disclose that would prevent me from serving on this board? And the only thing I asked was what the statute of limitations was on some of this stuff, you know, so. It was like,
Yeah, they asked me if I had any questions, and I said, no, I ain't got no questions for y'all. That's good action. So I left. I wouldn't want to start something.
I think my term expires at the end of 26.
Mine, I just got reappointed. Yeah, so I think that and I, we're the same.
We may have, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're the same meeting.
Oh, yeah, we were.
With John Parker.
With somebody else, yeah, and somebody else was in there too. Yeah. I don't think they were in this board.
Yeah.
We
Well,
need
Brittany,
to-
thank you for all you and all your staff and answering all my questions.
Well,
For all the
Well, you need to make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah, you want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I get a second?
So I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
All right, that's right. That's my motion. That's the only thing I do when I first got here. That's the only thing I do.
It's because I'll tell you one
Motion to
time,
adjourn.
down at State Hospital, we were buying furniture and we were getting it from